you know, other than the Yankees, I seem to say that a lot from time to time.
Yes.
We follow all sports. And there was recently a big fight, there's very few large boxing matches anymore, but there was a big one recently.
Yep.
Floyd Mayweather defeated Victor Ortiz in what some could say was a controversial ending.
Yeah.
A lot of things about boxing is controversial. It doesn't really hide the fact that there's a lot of corruption. It charges you $60 to watch one fight that could last a minute and a half. There's a lot of issues, but specific to the fight, do you think there was a sucker punch? Do you think you have to keep your guard up at all times? What's your opinion as a boxing know-it-all?
First of all, I will say that Fitz and Vig are boxing fans.
We are.
Vig is probably a bigger boxing fan, while Fitz is probably a bigger MMA fan. That's probably a fair assessment.
I would say I'm more of an MMA fan than you are.
Yes.
You are, but I like boxing itself more than I like MMA.
Good clarity for the Fitz and Vig viewers at home, because there's a lot of controversy over that.
Yeah, you know, now I'm just going to, before we move on to actual fight, the issue is who's really watching MMA? Sure, it looks great when everybody's walking around with their, you know, tight black T-shirts on, kind of like Fitz is wearing right now. You know, it says Affliction on it or whatever you guys wear, tap out. It makes it seem like everybody's an MMA fan. But how come, you know, the largest MMA fights in the world, the best fighters, which is Rampage Jackson's a big-time guy right now, he gets, what, $1 million a fight?
Oh, yeah.
But a guy like Mayweather,
they're not
paid that well, you know, which means, and a guy like Mayweather, you know, for this fight earned, I think, $18 million. Right. So what that's telling you is, you know, MMA does not have the popularity that boxing does. It just doesn't. As much as you think it does, there's tons of people buying that $60 pay-per-view that can pay these guys $18 million to fight.
And boxing is huge in the Latin American countries.
Huge, yep.
Huge in South America. Huge in Europe. Boxing absolutely is bigger globally. It's kind of like the, you know, soccer versus American football argument.
Right.
American football dominates. Globally, it's soccer. I'd say going back to the Mayweather-Ortiz fight,
yes.
The controversy is obviously the sucker punch.
Yeah.
You've probably read, seen, and heard a lot about it already, so we probably don't want to beat to death whether or not it was a clean shot or not, or even whether or not it was a sportsmanlike play to make by Mayweather. What I will say is Ortiz was already getting his butt whipped in that fight.
Yes, he was going to lose that fight.
So for Mayweather to make that move, which you can argue the sportsmanship or not, he didn't have to. He was already taking Ortiz apart. Wow. He has already taken him apart from a boxing science perspective. Mm-hmm. He was playing with Ortiz from the opening bell, and I think it was just unfortunate that Mayweather had to throw any cloud of controversy on a fight which he was clearly winning and could have won going away.
You know, I agree completely. Here's my concern, and I wrote a post about this, so if you actually read the blog as opposed to just watch it, you've seen this too. My problem has to do with the fans in this situation. I think it was the third round, might have been the fourth, I think the third round where this knockout occurred. Mayweather was going to win the fight, but you know, if you've watched Mayweather's recent fights, you know, Sugar Shane, where he fought, he doesn't knock people out anymore. He just doesn't. He's a scientist in the ring, and he's the best at it.
Technician.
He is technician. He was going to win that fight. It was probably going to be a decision. My issue was the fact that, you know, when you buy that fight for your $60, you usually get 12 rounds, 36 minutes of action, watching Mayweather go through, you know, his whole repertoire of duck and dive and counter punches, and he's great at it. You get what you pay for. With this, he got about less than 9 minutes worth of actual fighting, and it ended in a controversial way. And you paid $60 for it. And you know what? It opens the door for another rematch, and that's what it bothers me. You know, so I said it in the post, and I'll say it again here on the video. If you paid for this fight, you deserve to get 50% off the next pay-per-view. I'd like to see them find a way to do that. They could credit your account if you buy the next pay-per-view, where you get it at a discount, because you already paid to see the 12-rounder, which you'll see next time. You know, you only got 3 rounds of fight this time.
And then after the fight, one thing we should mention, the Larry Merchant interview. The Larry Merchant interview gets feisty because Larry Merchant, as an 80-year-old, been around, seen it all, doesn't back down from anyone, gets in Mayweather's face, gets all over him for the cheap shot, what Larry Merchant said was a cheap shot, and next thing you know, maybe the next pay-per-view fight is Merchant versus Mayweather.
I mean, Merchant, I think he did say he needed to be 50 years younger or something like that, which he would have needed to be, and then some, maybe have a couple other people with him to take on Mayweather. If you can find that video online, that's worth watching better than the controversial fight that punched to end the fight.
Yeah, we'll include the link on